and gentlemen, welcome to a very special episode of the Wrassingh Show. Joining us today is an extremely reputed and a respected name in professional wrestling industry. He is a former two-time NWA Midwest Heavyweight Champion, NWA North American Heavyweight Champion, the 84th NWA World Champion, one half of the current PCW Ultra Tag Team Champions, and the owner of the most popular and the hottest wrestling promotion on the West Coast today, that is PCW Ultra. It is my honor to present to you the Sheik, Josef Samael. Joseph, it is such an honor to have you here. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much. That was a heck of an intro. I really appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. I say this all the time to my followers, my subscribers, anyone who would listen, that there are a few people in the industry who are pillars, an absolute gem in the wrestling industry, in the business today. And I consider you to be one of those pillars that make the industry a better place. And, you are one of those people who not only work very hard to make, to entertain the fans and give the matches, give them the movements, the matches that they want. It is incredible what you do.
Thank you very much. I think it comes from a great respect for the pro wrestling business and the humble fact that we're lucky to be here and the business owes us nothing. So to leave it better than we found it was the way I was trained, and it's the way I'll always be, and the attitude I'll always have towards the wrestling business.
I love that. So have you ever heard of the story of Midas? The king who would touch anything and it would turn into gold. Have you heard of that story?
Yes, of course. Yes.
I feel like you're the Midas of pro wrestling, because if it's true, because if we look at the incredible work that you've done, any promotion that you've touched, you look at PCW Ultra, Defy, MLW, NWA, PWF, or any talent that you've touched, you talk about Alex Hammerstone, you talk about Jacob Fatu, and so on. I mean, you've turned all of them into gold. You've done an incredible job with everything that you've ever touched. It's great. And
thank you. That's a huge compliment. Obviously, as far as the talent goes, it's, I can't take credit for anybody's talent. You have to want to learn. And people that are open to learning, for instance, Viva Van is my latest project. And people that are open to listening to the formulas that were created by the architects of the past that are proven, they're just always welcome at my table.
It's beautiful. And that's the one thing about you. I mean, in the wrestling business, not only have you made a tremendous name for yourself as a competitor, but also you go above and beyond your call of duty as a competitor, as a performer, as a promoter, to mentor these people and to mold them into the future superstars. So why do you feel this responsibility to mold, these wrestlers into the future superstars that they're now becoming? If you look at a lot of the wrestlers right now, especially on the independent circuit, a lot of the top wrestlers, many of them actually come from under your wing. So why do you feel this responsibility to make them into this, the beautiful superstars that they're now turning out to be?
Well, if not me, who? So everything that I picked up along the way was taught to me. So it's my duty to transfer that knowledge. If I don't transfer the knowledge that was bestowed upon me, then the business dies, right? And it's not solely on my shoulders, but I'm, certainly I'm an active participant. So everything that comes through me has to be paid back, or else it was done in vain, and I just like to give respect to the business and to the people that took time and gave me the time of day and shaved steps off my journey and taught me how to make a living in this business. And it never had to be for a boss. It never had to be for a certain company. It was a lifestyle, a way of living, how you carried yourself, the decisions you made, the roads you took. And, I'm not somebody who's right 100% of the time, but I like to think that my batting average is quite good. And anything I can do to help a young wrestler get on the right path is very gratifying to me, because I see a lot of wrestlers doing it a completely different way. And that's not to say that it's the wrong way, but like, you'll see somebody on television that, you know, broke out of wrestling school 8 months ago and they can't throw a punch and they're on TV, but they can do a brilliant flip.
That's right.
I want to teach the fundamentals of the business. I want to teach, you know, what it is we actually do. The simulated combat that has you suspending disbelief, not just acrobats.
That's right.
You know, if you can blend the athleticism of the modern age and the psychology of the old school, you would have the perfect business. And I think right now we're in this weird spot where we're basically, you know, pushing all of the old school fundamentals to the side because things are popping the crowd and it works, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's right. If you can just meld both styles, I mean, the business would rise to levels I don't believe it's ever risen to prior. So, you know, that's just guys that can actually see and understand the old concepts. It's our duty to share that with the newer generation, or else it'll be lost forever, like the Library of Alexandria that got burned to the ground. You know, it's like if you lose, you know, those tablets, you lose those formulas, they're gone forever, you know. So it's my job not only to perpetuate or to continue that knowledge, but to make sure it doesn't go away, to make sure it doesn't get thinned out, to make sure that those, you know, fundamentals don't go to the wayside and these new habits start that aren't correct, you know. So I might annoy the young guys sometimes. I might tell them to do it again. I might, you know, nitpick things, but, you know, I don't think you do have to water the tree, but the tree needs to get pruned as well, you know. So you have to really understand how to teach, and that comes with understanding how others hear you, understanding how to speak their language. So it's a rough thing. I'm going on a tangent now. Let's go back to the original. But, you know, I can talk all day about things, and things in wrestling are like that. They're threads. They just, you know, there's no absolutes. It's almost like every single concept or every single scenario is like a different set of ingredients, and you have to work within those sets of ingredients. Everyone is different. Every scenario is different. And it's just doing your best to translate, you know, what worked in the past, you know. So
beautiful. Wow, nobody's ever explained wrestling to me so well, you know. And when I was just watching you speak and listening to you speak, it was incredible, because I could just tell how much you love wrestling and how fortunate anyone would be to, you know, get under your wing and get that training from you and learn the art of wrestling from you. They would all be so fortunate. That's incredible. Now, since we're talking about wrestling and the art of wrestling, nowadays the debate is, are you a professional wrestler, which is a lot of athleticism, a lot of hard hits and whatnot, or are you a sports entertainer, which is more of a, you know, entertainment side of it, the cartoonish side of it? So do you feel that both of these ideas of professional wrestlers and sports entertainers are incorrect in form of true professional wrestling?
I mean, I don't believe there's any difference. It is, we do what we do. And whatever you want to call it, you can call it. We perform simulated combat, and we create a suspension of disbelief. And if we can connect with you emotionally, you know, when I was a kid, I have these memories, which I'm sure you do, and I'm sure the viewers do as well. And these are times when the performer's emotionally connected with you, and you remember these things forever, and you bring them with you. And these are the memories that you tap into when you're, you know, something new you want to see, or it reminds you of something that you've seen, or you know, or you remember a great time with your friends when this finish just popped you, you know, or something happened. So you could call it whatever you want. But we do what we do, and there's a right way and there's a wrong way. And just popping the crowd, it's people don't really understand in today's day and age the concept of heat. And heat draws money. And I heard somebody say once before, I think it was Sin Bodhi, actually, he said, there's no heat in a ping pong game. And it's true. You just watch the ping pong game go back and forth, and there's heat and emotion. There's heat when you break up with your girlfriend. There's heat when somebody cheats on somebody. There's heat when somebody hits you from behind. There's heat so you're building these videos in pro wrestling to create these moments, because heat draws money. To see what's going to happen, what's the result of this of this story, and heat has always drawn money. That's why the old timers will say, don't put heat on the referee. He never put asses in the seats. You want to control where that heat goes, and a good heel is able to do that, and a good babyface understands his role. So again, going into a tangent like I always do about wrestling, but that's just it. It's not anything more than what it is. We complicate it. We give it all these labels. We debate about everything.
That's right.
Because social media. But at the end of the day, it's professional wrestling, and you can call it sports entertainment. You can call it pro wrestling. You can call it this. You can call it that. It's always going to be what it is. And the greats will always be able to connect to you emotionally. And, the athletes will always be able to do, brilliant things athletically. But if you can just do them, if you could just do them both, then you just got the perfect lane right there of the modern era. And that's just the way I believe.
I love it. Absolutely. No, I totally agree with you. When there's a lot of pops, if every single move of yours is a pop, then the fans don't get that one moment to pop enough for it. It's not one memory that they take back home. It's a lot of memories and they get confused. I get that. I totally understand that. And, we were just talking about the greats and the athletics, and it just makes me wonder that who was the great person, the great people behind you, who taught you all about pro wrestling? Can you, tell us something about them?
Sure. So when I broke into the business, there was a gentleman by the name of Dave Johnson, who is the Blackheart. And he had worked in Japan. He had worked in Tri-States, which became ECW. And he was one of my first mentors, along with a gentleman by the name of Rusty Brooks, who used to work on Superstars against Hogan and this and that. And these guys were journeyman wrestlers. Then I linked up with the Earthquake, John Tenta, and he took me, and I had a tag team partner under his wing. We ended up meeting the Bushwhackers. They sent us to Puerto Rico. I mean, so you're seeing this. Yeah. I would never give credit to one person. It's just all of these people that were so, influential to me. And then I grew up in the Florida wrestling scene. So in any locker room, you would have Jake the Snake Roberts, Steve Kern, Dusty Rhodes, Kevin Sullivan. So, just legends upon legends. And Kevin Sullivan saw me early on. And I remember the first thing he told me, he said, "Kid, if this was 1970, you'd be driving a Cadillac." And I said, "Oh, that's a heck of a compliment. Too bad it's not 1970. But then Kevin gave me his number. And if anybody doesn't know who Kevin Sullivan is, he's a brilliant mastermind, a very, very sharp mind of professional wrestling booking. And he learned from Eddie Graham, who, for my money, is the greatest booker of all time. And Kevin, because of longevity, I feel has surpassed Eddie Graham. Maybe not in natural ability, but in, because Eddie was just special, and Kevin is as well. But I'm trying to give to Kevin, but not take away from Eddie in the same sentence. But Kevin really molded my mind for everything from wrestling psychology to character development to match placement on a card,
Beautiful.
to pacing matches,
Yep.
to, I mean, everything. I mean, Kevin has been with me, whether it's on the phone 2 hours a day, to every single PCW Ultra show, pretty much 90% of them,
Yep.
To other projects in Florida, other projects around the country. So Kevin is my main mentor, and Terry Funk always had an open line of communication with me, which I always appreciated. And Jake the Snake Roberts as well.
Wow.
And I mean, just those three guys, I mean, the three of the greatest minds the business has ever produced. So to say I'm extremely fortunate is the understatement of the world, you know? So I was really, really fortunate to be able to connect with guys like this. But I think that each of those gentlemen saw that their knowledge was not going to be, you know, they saw me as worthy enough to accept the knowledge. So I think you have to prove to these guys who are, you know, the professors in our business, you have to prove to them that you want the knowledge. You have to put the knowledge to good use. You have to ask them the proper questions. You have to show intuition. You know, there's just, you can't, I see a lot of guys going over to veterans and just thinking, oh, check, I talked to him. Check, I asked him if he saw my match. Check. Try to think if Kevin Sullivan or Terry Funk is on a show. Imagine how many people walk up to them and go, excuse me, sir, can you watch my match? Come on. I mean, every single person in the building asks him that. So, you know, like I was lucky enough to speak with The Undertaker one day. He must have gave me about 45 minutes of his time. And I attribute that to the questions I asked him. He understood that I wasn't just the mark that was asked. He understood the motivation behind my questions. And I think he respected me for asking him what I asked him, how I asked him, and why I asked him. So, I mean, we were talking about things as nuanced as, how many false finishes in a babyface comeback is, you know, when a heel does this, and payback in a match, and just all these nuances of matches. And, you know, he was kind of happy that I was asking him these questions. That's the way I felt anyway. I can't speak for him. But the fact that he gave me so much time kind of made me feel that, you know. So, you know, just speaking to these guys and not wasting their time and putting their knowledge to good use, because they don't have to give you the gems. I mean, these are the guys that made it to the tippy top of this business. I mean, you look at guys who've made money. Those are the guys you want to speak to, because not just for the greedy aspect of it, but for the fact that they are proven. They have proven that they have gone to the highest levels and they have made the highest paychecks. You know, Kevin Sullivan was the booker of WCW that created the NWO, Goldberg, on and on and on.
That's right.
Pretty big deal, you know. Undertaker, do I even need to? I mean, come on. Terry Funk, same thing. It's like these guys are, they're special. And I was very fortunate to be able to have any time with them, and especially the amount of time I've had with Kevin.
Absolutely. And I'm a firm believer of the statement that good people, they attract good people. And in your case, I can see, you know, you're a very good man and you attracted all the goodness in the form of Kevin Sullivan and all these people. It's incredible. And I'm also a firm believer in the statement that good things happen to good people. And I would like to go back to 1977, where I heard a story. I came to know a story where you were just 3 years old and you came home crying because, you know, I believe your foot got burned because of your brother's bike. And you came home crying. You saw Dusty Rhodes on your television screen, and you liked what you saw, and you sat down, and that's what got you into wrestling. And coming from there, and you shared the locker room perhaps with him in Florida. I mean, that must have meant a lot to you.
Yeah, I actually got to share the ring with Dusty on one occasion, and yeah, it just absolutely full circle to be a child and idolize somebody, and then
That's
to
right.
actually be able to work with them. And
Incredible.
Dusty gave me a hug after
Yeah.
our deal, and yeah, it meant a tremendous amount to me. And the great research. Yeah, that's exactly how it happened. And
Lovely.
yeah, I just remember my mom telling my dad to take me to wrestling because I was fascinated by it. And it just so happened that maybe 15 minutes from
Yeah.
our home, Harley Race was the world heavyweight champion,
That's
just
right.
right there on Monday night. And, being able to hold that same exact belt was, pretty surreal. Just the fact that it was the same design, everything that, it's almost like, manifestation or something. You see that and
That's
you
right.
envision it, and then one day you're like, oh wow, how did that happen? It's
Beautiful.
on me. And yeah, pretty cool stuff.
Absolutely. Hard work pays off and dreams come true, right? That's all it is all about. I love it. And I would say that, if you talk about the NWA World title, some of the greats have held it. And now, now we are down to the 99th champion, that is Matt Cardona. Are there any chances that we could be seeing you become the 100th NWA World Champion in the near future?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'll let the young kids fight over that one. I had my time.
Yeah.
I did my thing, and the one thing about professional wrestling is, you don't, it's just, I had my time. You know
That's
what I mean?
right.
So I would never want to get in there and take a spot away from somebody that it would mean a lot more to them at this time of their career than it would for
Absolutely.
me at my time. It would be full ego for me. And at this stage of my life, I'm trying to get past those things. Being in the wrestling business is a it's a big job, curbing your ego. And I've done a wonderful, and I've got a wife that humbles me constantly in a good way. And it's just my life's work to try to, not think I'm bigger than I am. It's when you're having your best times and you just think something else is going on, that's really when you get caught. So
Right.
always kind of being chill and just being relaxed and taking things as they come. Yeah,
I love it. No, absolutely. And I can tell you that, what, the promotion PCW Ultra, whenever I, tune into the matches, even if I look at the graphics of PCW Ultra, I just get this very positive vibe from it. I'm not too sure why. I can just look at the name and just feel the positivity. And I'm talking to you right now and I'm getting that same positivity, and just, you're very humble, very positive. And that's a very rare case in professional wrestling, but it's a very lovely trait. And
well, I always say, I don't mean to cut you off, but I always say we're not curing cancer. We're just entertaining people.
That's right.
It's absolutely. Like when you take yourself so seriously and you think you're better than the next guy, it's just a silly mindset. So
that's right. No, 100%. And we were just talking about Kevin Sullivan, somebody who means so much to you. And you've said in the past that he is like your father when it comes to professional wrestling. He's your father in professional wrestling. And that is a big statement. And that's a big statement. And not just that, your brainchild, a very successful brainchild, WarBeast, is also a homage to Kevin's character. So can you tell us something about WarBeast and how did it all come about? How did you decide to, make it about Kevin? And what was Kevin's reaction to the thing?
Well, Kevin's reaction to everything I've ever done has been incredibly positive. He's very proud of me, and it's very heartwarming. He's somebody that's incredibly important to me. So I do look for his approval, just like a father. So that's why I say he's my wrestling father, because he's just been there. And he's somebody that I've been able to share successes with. He's somebody that I've been able to confide in when I've had failures. So obviously that lines up. As far as WarBeast goes, it was always the reason why Kevin and I got on so well is because we both take a more cerebral approach to professional wrestling. Everything that Kevin's done is everything that interests me. And he's seen the way I learn and the questions I ask since I was a young guy in the business. Me and him are great friends beyond wrestling. So we obviously have wrestling to with the initial bond, but we're great friends. Like, he stays at my house all the time and vice versa. I've been to his place and we talk about everything besides wrestling. But WarBeast was something that was, as you said, it was a homage to Kevin Sullivan and the Army of Darkness and the Dungeon of Doom, which was much more campy. But yeah, it was a homage to professional wrestling done Kevin's way, and the cerebral approach and the strong imagery and the heat, which creates money. And I just needed a cast of characters. And I had, at the time, we basically pulled Brody King out of a garage, and he was nobody. Now he's one of the biggest guys in wrestling. Yep. Jacob Fatu, came to my doorstep, and back when we didn't have to pay him any money, barely, the good salad days. And, so you get all these raw pieces of clay, and, you just look around the locker room one day and the light bulb goes off. So I put Brody and myself together, and, it was probably, I believe it was 2016. And I saw something in Brody, and then immediately Fatu appeared. Mm-hmm. And as soon as Fatu appeared, me and him just had a different sort of bond, almost like an uncle, like me and the uncle spot. And, he was just somebody that was old enough to listen, to know and trust, not too young to where he was gonna, just do it his own way and mess up and see for himself. He was very trusting of me. So me and Fatu tended to just mesh a little better, where Brody was more, and now he's in a tag team, but Brody seemed more of a single. So we kept him in the fold, but me and Jacob gravitated to be a tag team. And I've had a few times in my career where it's been lightning in a bottle. I've been very fortunate. And when he and I got together, everybody knew it was special. It was just one of those things where it clicked with everyone at the same time, the people, everything. And we've just gone full steam ahead ever since. And then we had a little bit of a hiccup with we transferred the act to MLW. That's right. And it was always meant to be, we did take it around a little bit, but it was always meant to be a PCW Ultra thing. It was always meant to be a PCW Ultra original act. And, and we would take it to Defy, and we would take it to, a couple little places here and there, but mainly we just kept it at home, because it was something that we created, and I wanted it to be special at home. I wanted to give people another reason to come to PCW Ultra, so and it just became more than I ever imagined. And then, now when we're together, the reactions of the people was always great, but now it's different. It's like, it's like we're so solidified, we're so over in a way that we could do anything. It's just a great feeling. There's that time in wrestling where you're just in certain places, you're just over in a way that the crowd is just with you. I mean, we could do anything and they just would pop for it. And that's a great feeling. And it's a feeling you got to make sure you don't prostitute, but it is a great feeling to know that you have that leverage and that leeway. And it's, you could create and you could do things that you wouldn't be able to do on the first page, when you have that kind of a luxury, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, that goes without saying that WarBeast is such a big success. People love the WarBeast. I mean, champions for about 1,430 days, which is roughly about 4 years now. It's an incredible feat. It's an incredible feat, and people love the WarBeast. Now, you mentioned about MLW and how it slowly transitioned over to MLW. Not exactly WarBeast, but under a different banner, different name. It was a little different, but still we got the very same vibe. So, I mean, I would just like to ask you, when MLW reached out to you, because obviously WarBeast was such a commodity, everybody wanted WarBeast. So when they reached out to you, did they want a WarBeast on the show, or did they want a modified version of WarBeast on the show?
Well, so the short answer is they wanted us, but they wanted us into a group. So yes, a modified version.
Okay.
And I mean, in professional wrestling, everybody wants to take something and then turn it into their idea, So it's like it's the same thing where Vince will pull somebody and then change their name. It's like you want to take ownership of what's within your company, and then you want to steer it the way you want it. Does that work all the time? No. Does it work none of the times? No. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, it's strange because it was kind of a loose concept that I feel we just organically kind of maneuvered into positions.
Okay.
Because at first we were brought in as a tag team, and we had another person talking, which was Simon Gotch. And then I would speak in the promos, and then I started to notice you open the promo, you close the promo, so I started to get a lot more promo time. And then it kind of shifted into where I was like the leader of the thing. So it organically changed into that. And then, but the thing never had a very clear story, which is, I mean, I felt it was good and bad. Like I felt like there was, it was good because you could maneuver within a story. You could do a turn, you could do this, you could do that, you could go right, you can go left, you could zigzag, and the people would never know what's what. It was difficult when you got, you didn't know who you were going to work with, and, you had to cut a promo and you didn't know where it was going. And, so a lot of the things was, just performing, and not kind of performing with blinders on. And the fact that it came out so beautifully is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of amazing, because there was a kind of a flying blind on a lot of it. Jacob and I there's something about he and I that I don't think we've ever spoken out in the ring. We just move. Like, it's a weird thing with I've never been, I had another tag team partner that was similar, but I've never been in a partnership with somebody that was just so seamless. It's just a weird thing with he and I. Like, I could just look at him and he knows, or I can think, man, I wonder, and he's there, or vice versa. It's just a strange thing with he and I. It's like, just out there, it's just something that it's special. Yeah.
And I guess that is the reason why Cobra Unit worked out the way it worked out, because you guys work so well together and you are so dedicated. Whatever you do the best, and that's why it worked out so beautifully. Now, when you were doing this on MLW, I was always on the edge of my seat because I was nervous, because I've seen you and Fatu work so beautifully together, and I was always nervous about what if they decide to split them up. What if they decide to end the partnership? Because that would be devastating. That would be bad. And I always was nervous about it. So were there ever any talks about possibly splitting it up or breaking it up?
Yeah, there was. And it just, there's certain things I wouldn't say I'm very agreeable. I am very headstrong, but it's like if you told Hawk and Animal you were going to break up the Road Warriors, they're not going to do it. You know what I mean? It's like there's things now, if we were working for, Vince McMahon and or Tony Khan and we were getting, the decimal point was in a different spot.
That's right. Yeah.
Then there's some consideration, but yeah, there was talk about it, and it just wasn't anything that Jacob nor I were comfortable with. And, also going back to PCW Ultra, with it being so, it would hurt PCW Ultra. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And my motivation would obviously never be to hurt PCW Ultra. It would always be to anything I would do out, because full disclosure, I don't have to wrestle.
That's right.
Anything I would do would be to help,
exactly.
my people or my company
100%.
or whatever. That there's value in that for me. 100%. So monetary value is one thing, but then there's other values that are there to consider, and that's why when even into the Contra unit, I pulled back on wrestling. I was mainly concerned with pushing Fatu, so being a barker for Fatu, yeah, and telling everybody in the world, that he was the baddest man on the planet. Mm-hmm. That was my motivation there. I was really trying to elevate him, and I was trying to elevate the group, but more importantly, I was trying to elevate Fatu in a way that I knew, whether anybody else knew it or not, that was good for the company of MLW. Fatu is somebody that is incredibly special. Yeah. And he's somebody that I think fans can sit down in their home and go, oh, you know what? What about Jacob Fatu and Brock Lesnar? Yes, I don't think that's far-fetched. Nope. I don't think where I see other companies' world champions, if you put them next to Brock, they go, yeah, sure. Brock will eat him for lunch. I think Jacob has that believability. He's not the biggest guy, but neither was Mike Tyson.
100%.
Explosive, like Mike Tyson. So I always, the psychology of Fatu in my eyes was always like an evil Customato and Mike Tyson, and that was our dynamic in MLW. And I liked being in that character role because it was completely different. And 25 years in, I need something to excite me. You know exactly. What I mean? It's just, oh, you're going to go do that. We're going to tell you to wrestle this guy, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, whatever. I've wrestled 1,000 times, or more, I've wrestled everyone, you're not going to excite me by doing that. But putting me in that role was a very different role. And I feel like I flourished in it. I got a lot of really good feedback from fans and peers and all that. So that was a very exciting time for me. And I feel like I utilized that as best I could.
Absolutely. And I know you're very humble, you don't want to take the credit for it, but we probably wouldn't even be talking about the likes of Fatu or Brody King or about, even maybe Hammerstone if it wasn't for you. I mean, you brought those people up. And if you look at Brody right now, he's doing big things with AEW. Fatu is, of course, he's doing great things with you. But if you go to MLW's website, you see Fatu and Hammerstone, the cover boy, the poster boys of the company right now. In the middle, in the center of the whole website of every single banner of MLW. So big credit goes on to you behind all of that. Now,
maybe I have an eye for talent. Let's say that.
Yes, absolutely. And just by just through this interview, the little chat that we've had, I can tell for 100% that anybody who's under your wing is very, very fortunate, and they really are fortunate. And speaking of that, just like you said, you don't have to wrestle. You did not have to wrestle for MLW. You only did it for the sake of PCW Ultra and for Fatu, of course. Now, for MLW to bring in somebody like yourself, who is not just a performer, but also an owner of PCW Ultra, I mean, there has to be more than just, monetary value. There has to be some promises that must have been made, maybe some creative control or other promises. Can you tell us some details? I mean, what was offered to you, to join?
Yeah, just, there was, promises made and I don't go into any negotiations, if I don't feel like it's a level, I don't sign or do anything that's lopsided for me.
Right.
Again, I don't have to, so yeah, I had some creative options there that I was able to do certain things there, and some things I wasn't able to do, and I was working towards working with PCW and MLW. I think they saw us as too small, of a company, which is, I mean, I had Rob Van Dam was my world champion.
That's
I've had
right.
the great Buddha there, Terry Funk, Stan Hansen, Kevin Sullivan, Jake, everybody from their rosters come out of my company almost. But I was looking probably towards a maybe being considered as like some sort of a developmental or something like that. Or I mean, I kind of was anyway. But I don't know. What you want to have happen, and what actually can happen. I don't know. I wasn't privy to a lot of things. There was a lot of things I was privy to, and there was a lot of conversations I was allowed in on, and there was a lot of creative that I was allowed in on, and then there was a lot that I wasn't. And I run my own company, so I know how that goes. You know what I mean? So I don't bring everybody into everything. The people that I trust, I do have what do you call it? Full transparency with, so guys that are my agents and guys that work in the company, they know everything that's going to happen, but I think there's a paranoia with television wrestling, not letting anything get out. But my thing is like, if it gets out, you kind of would know where it came from. So, I mean, I don't know. But anyway, I'm not somebody that would stooge off finishes or anything like that. And I had plenty of finishes that I constructed personally.
Yep.
And then I had, plenty of stuff that I was privy to that I just knew the outcomes on that, never was brought to the press or to anybody's attention. So I respect the wrestling business plenty enough to be able to be trusted. But I think it just, I think with MLW, I think the easiest way to say it would be maybe everybody was kind of had more jobs than their bandwidth could take. So I don't think anything was ever personal with me as far as, promising me something and it not happening. I just think it was just a moving thing that was, everybody was running after it the whole time. I don't think it was ever in control and lassoed in and organized. And actually that is something that I feel like I'm very good at. My company is very organized. However, I don't do television and I don't run as often. So, but if I did, my staff would grow, so I'm able to kind of, control my output. And I think that's very important when you're producing a live event, to be able to control your output and to have plan B, C, D, and E, and also to have the wherewithal not try to control everything, but understand that you have the knowledge that if anything does go wrong, which will go wrong, you have the knowledge and the know-how and the confidence that you'll be able to fix it in real time. You know, just being somebody who's in the business, that's been in the business for so long, you know how to fix problems that are in the business, and you know the business you're in. You know you're dealing with flights. You know you're dealing with injuries. You know you're dealing with traffic. You know you're dealing with rental cars and planes, trains, and automobiles. You know it's yeah. So I think when it comes to running pro wrestling, having them, and it's very easier said than done, having as many people involved that understand the wrestling business, and understanding the wrestling business is a lost art. A lot of people think they understand the wrestling business, and a lot of people do not understand the wrestling business.
Absolutely.
It is a very, very, for such a silly thing, it is a very intricate business, you know. And every show, every live event is like, you know, running a wedding. You know, there's so many moving parts that it's insanity.
Absolutely. 100%. And I can just tell by the conversation that not only are you very humble, but very understanding and very, very nice. I would just like to close the whole chapter of MLW by just asking you a couple more questions. Do you feel, because I feel like PCW Ultra was not given enough credit for the talents that MLW now has. So do you feel similarly about that, that maybe PCW Ultra benefited MLW more than MLW benefited PCW? Maybe it was only a one-sided, you know, how do I say it? Maybe only one side got the benefit from the whole partnership. Did you feel that? Maybe you didn't get enough credit. Maybe PCW Ultra does not get enough credit for where MLW is at right now.
I mean, you know, I guess one could say that, you know, one could say that for sure. Whether I feel that way, I mean, if I wanted to, you know, I would have to really be thinking that way and thinking about that. I never feel slighted. You know what I mean? Like I'm very happy with my company. I'm very proud of what's come out of my company. I don't need, you know, like you'll see a guy like Rob Van Dam.
That's right.
Rob Van Dam is such a sweetheart and reposts our stuff, and it's a respect, you know. It's you know, you guys got like you got guys like Shane Swerve Strickland. He's another guy, you know, reposts our stuff, gives me a call, you know, this and that. I know it's always open to work with. Ricky Steamboat, you know, guys like that they respect what we do. And, you know, these veterans and these newer guys that walk in and understand that this is a company that commands respect, has a full house of 1,000 people. We draw these large houses consistently since 2016. We're in, you know, 2022 minus the pandemic, obviously. But to consistently draw these houses, I don't feel slighted. You know, do I feel like they benefited from us? Sure. You know what I mean? Do I feel like I benefited from them? Yeah, I'm sure I did. I mean, I got, you know, TV time's valuable. But it's never been about that, you know, for me. And I don't harbor any ill will or, I mean, life's too short, you know, and my life's good. And I'm very fortunate for what I do have with PCW Ultra. And, you know, I didn't lose Hammerstone and I didn't lose Jacob Fatu. You know, I won't have them on every show. But yeah, you know, so it's life. You want these guys to prosper and get paid more, and you want these guys to get more exposure, and that's more valuable to me. You're just hoping that the boys pay back, you know, the push. You know, you're hoping that they go, hey, Sheik was cool. I went and worked for him and he treated me right, and those shows were great. I'm making all this money now. I'm going to go back and help out PCW Ultra. You know what I mean? And that's what you really hope for. And I think the type of people we have involved, they're good people. Like our locker room, I've been around for 25 years. I've been all over this world. I've been in so many locker rooms. I could tell you from top to bottom, and I've been literally from top to bottom in every locker room. And with the exception of AEW, I've never been in the AEW locker room because I'm too old now. But
that's not true. You still look very young, and you're still, I would say you're still in your prime. When you wrestle, you're one of the best out there. I would say that. You're really good.
Thank you. And mentally, I definitely feel mentally in my prime, and I feel like I do have a lot to offer any company.
I do feel
but I was saying all that to say this is our locker room is so good.
Yeah.
Like our locker room is so harmonious. It's just very healthy competition.
Wonderful.
There's nobody ever feels like I would never make guys rip themselves apart. Like I've seen some companies where, oh, tonight you're in a death match. What? I didn't sign up for that. And like the promoter not knowing that that's bad to do to a wrestler, and the wrestler not knowing that he could turn it down, and just all this weird stuff like that. Like you want to discuss things with your talent. You want to talk to people. You want to make sure they're safe first and foremost. Like I bet most promoters don't even have a clear view to a hospital. Like I bet most promoters don't even have a paramedic. I bet most promoters don't have security. I bet most promoters, and I'm not saying that, I know they don't, but we do, you know what I mean? Like we care about our wrestlers. Yeah. We definitely, we don't want to put in like, oh, can I jump off the balcony? Well, you can, but you don't have to. You don't need to. It's not called for. How about no? How about don't do that? But where other promoters will be like, you do that, do it twice. It's like, okay, well, what if the kid, breaks his back and then he can't wrestle ever again? For a pop, it's silly. So we like to take care of our people and, and run a good thing. And our fan experience is just above board. Our fan experience is so great. And we've had so many people from so many different countries come to our show. We've one show, we had a group of about 6 people come from Ireland. We've had people come from Japan. We've had people come from Australia. It's pretty crazy. So giving them that experience of legends and good food and drinks and big huge arena and all these wonderful matches and everything in a nice neat little package. I think it's wrestling done right, and I'm very proud of PCW Ultra.
Oh yeah, you should be, because PCW Ultra is doing so well, as you said, very harmonious backstage, and it resonates from the company. It resonates from the company's owner, very positive, and that's a company that we can all get behind. It just hit me that we are right now sitting in 2 very different parts of the world. You are, I believe, somewhere on the West Coast, and I'm all the way in India right now. And we're talking about independent wrestling. Coming all the way from, from the days of territories when wrestling used to be so restricted to certain states, certain territories. Now, I guess a huge credit goes to promotions like PCW Ultra. They opened up the borders, and now the world is talking about independent wrestling. It's a huge win, for PCW Ultra.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate to be a part of it. This era of wrestling is very exciting.
Absolutely. And PCW Ultra, we were just talking about how well it's done, and talk about the size of it. I believe that you guys have bigger crowds than MLW, than ROH, than GCW, even Impact Wrestling. You have a huge fan base, not just on the West Coast, but across the world. It's beautiful. And
we certainly compare, that's for sure. So I don't know who's bigger, who's smaller, but I'm definitely proud of our crowd. It's a very respectable crowd for sure. And it's consistent, which is we just thank God it's consistent and we just hope it stays that way. And I think the fan experience is why, we over deliver to our fans.
You do.
Why wouldn't you?
Absolutely. You do. Now, with success comes competition. Sometimes it's not healthy. Sometimes it can be, ugly competition. And we've seen in the past that certain promotions they now like to run shows head to head against PCW Ultra. I believe there was a promotion, maybe I'll just name drop it. GCW did a show head to head against your show. So what was your reaction to the situation? And I mean, what do you feel about such ugly competition?
Well, I mean, there's always going to be competition, and there's always going to be people. I'm not somebody that ever starts skirmishes. I'm always somebody that, I'll fight back or even on the street, I'm not somebody that provokes people. Sometimes it's a mishap, somebody books the same day or something like that. I mean, you like to think that, but it just, we sold out that day, so we're fine, but it causes the fans to choose when the shows are as large as PCW Ultra and I believe you said it was GCW, that, they're two large shows and it makes the fans choose, and there's enough to go around for everybody, so if you can stay kind of, cognizant of that, we always run Fridays. I mean, I remember back in the day we had PWG run head to head against us, and I think it was unintentional. And again, we sold out, so we didn't lose any fan base. So, I mean, we were at full capacity, but I do feel like that fans have to choose, there's enough to go around for everybody, like I said, and the wrestlers too, because it really gets kind of muddy when some, like, that's why I like to do stuff like WarBeast, and so you could see our show.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, I mean, everybody uses the same guys. You can't really get around it. There's guys and gals that are hot, at the moment. So, you've got to use the people that draw. So you're all, there's a certain group of people, but I find that each company has a style of guys that like a GCW, for instance, lies more on the death match.
Yep.
We're just not that company. We do old school hardcore, like stadium matches, like you'd see Bruiser Brody or Abdullah the Butcher. That's enough gore for our fans, I think. I mean, they'll take, cage matches and this and that, but I also have old women, I also have children, and I also, you know what I mean? So I'm looking at a more wide fan base than just 18 to 34-year-old men. I'm looking at a family of 5 can all come to my show and leave with a different favorite wrestler.
That's right.
I do it for a different reason than somebody else would do it, and everybody has their own motivation of why they do things. And my style of wrestling in my head is, what influenced me growing up, so I'm trying to recreate something that makes me feel the way I felt, so to me, the way I know how to do it. And that's why I kind of get in this kinship with these older minded, the old school Kevin Sullivans and stuff like that, is because they have that same concept of wrestling. However, I'm not naive, and I understand that we're in 2022. So, and that's why I always have very young, I have athletic, I have all genders, all ethnicities, all, I book talent.
That's
and
right.
That's that. And if I also book legends, I also book lucha, I also, so I book a lot of international stars.
Right.
So I like to give the fans that smorgasbord of, if you don't like the Lions, you're going to like the Tigers. If you don't like the Tigers, you're going to like the trapeze artists, and it's just something to where, again, a family of 5 can walk away and all have a different favorite wrestler. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It's not like there's just all guys that bleed.
Oh yeah.
That's right. It's like, it's just, it's a more balanced show.
PCW has something for everybody. No matter what form of wrestling you like, no matter what form you enjoy, you're gonna have fun, and that's the important part.
Yeah, we represent every style of wrestling, right. and that was like an original tagline of ours. We were like the full spectrum of pro wrestling. That's the truth.
That is true.
Yeah.
And it's such a positive company with such a positive owner, and this very harmonious locker room. That's a company that everyone would and should get behind. Absolutely. And I must say, it's such a pleasure talking to you. I know I'm taking a lot of your time, but it's a pleasure. I want to keep going on and on. Now, you mentioned something. You said that you don't provoke people. You don't do it, which reminded me of two incidents, which I remember that you mentioned some time ago, previously you mentioned in an interview that you were wrestling in the crowd and you were wrestling Carlito when somebody came up with the intention of hurting you, and they did punch you, and you did not fight back. You kept your cool. And there was another instance when somebody spat in your mouth, in your face, and you tried to keep your cool. I mean, how do you do that? I understand not provoking somebody, but somebody gets out there and you still keep your cool. Do you do yoga? Do you meditate? What's going on?
I think that jail is probably the grossest place in the world, and I'm a real clean person, so I don't ever want to find myself in jail. But no, it's like, my provoking people is getting heat. Yeah. So I know what I'm signing up for. Getting these people incensed is my goal. So I can't complain when it works. You know what I mean? So you don't want them, spitting in your mouth, or you don't want them, stabbing you. Absolutely. However, there's this sick kind of gratification of the heel that you're like, oh yeah, I got him to do that. You know what I mean? So, these things happen. And the main thing is, like the instance that you mentioned with Carlito, it was in a border town. It was a place called Brownsville, Texas. Mm-hmm. And it was at the time where there was heavy drug cartel violence in Mexico. Okay. And it was a border town. And I remember that night I was in a pretty shoddy hotel, and I heard gunshots all night long. Wow. And it was one of those, you find yourself on the road every once in a while in a weird, dodgy spot. And this was one of those times. But the thing about that I was excited to wrestle with Carlito, because I had wrestled with Carlito before he was a big star on the island of Puerto Rico. And so it was an exciting piece of work for me, because I was going to get to see Carlito again after all these years, and he had been to the WWE and everything. And man, this was actually a while ago now, because he has this was maybe 10 years ago now. And we were in a spot, and it was one of those places where you wrestle in it, and it had an unsettling vibe. Yeah. There was no security. The people were very rowdy. There was alcohol being served, and, they just were unruly, is a nice way to say it. And I saw the guy coming for me, and I knew what was going to happen. I wasn't too worried about it. He didn't look like he packed that big of a punch, but he had a ring on his finger, and he busted me open with the ring. And I just remember like it was yesterday. Carlito goes, "You want me to let you go and beat him up?" And I go, "Absolutely not." And in the back, he goes, why I was going to let you go. And I said, the first thing I did was I got him over. And he was like, well, and I go, "Dude, if I would have hit that guy, the whole crowd would have jumped on top of me. Like I would have been ripped apart." Yeah. So in instances like that, just knowing your surroundings and understanding that if you're an expert in getting heat, well, then you're also going to be an expert in diffusing that heat. So you for everything you do to get that heat, you just got to do the opposite to defuse it. So I was in a spot in Arizona one time where I just grew 20 feet tall, and I broke this thing over this guy's head. It was like a big old glass poster or something from the wall. It was, some crazy thing. And somebody in there just jumped on me. Wow. And, I had to fight a little bit on that one, because he locked on me. Crazy. So I got rid of him real quick, but it just happens, it just happens where somebody just thinks for that second it's a good idea to do that. And I don't know why. I think maybe it's alcohol, but it's crazy. Everybody, oh, wrestling's this and wrestling's phony and this and that, but then they they lose their mind. It's like, okay, well, can you not get got so hard?
That's right. Oh, crazy. And I must say that you are perhaps one of the best heels ever. But in real life, you're such a baby face. I mean, I can't. You're the nicest guy.
Those are most of the heels. I think they get that. They get it out. You know what I mean? And the baby faces are always told how great they are, and they're always they tend to be more egotistical, and the heels get humbled all the time. You know what I mean? And like I said, we get it out. Like, and I've been a baby face for a while too in PCW Ultra, and it's it's that's also, I like being a heel though. It's just, I feel like the heel is able to basically control and dictate the pace of the room. And I really like that. That's probably my favorite part of wrestling, is basically maneuvering the energy, just guiding and controlling the energy and turning it right and turning it left and bringing it up and bringing it down. And I just really like orchestrating the energy in the room. That's really a fun skill to have. Or I don't know. It doesn't work anywhere else, maybe in rock and roll. But it's just a strange skill to have that, probably I would never use anywhere else. And when you're using it, there's such a tremendous power. It's almost like a drug. You hear people saying that, but you get out of that arena and your energy is just like, your adrenaline is just going crazy. When it works, it's a really, really beautiful thing. It's just this very, very unique art form that I don't know if, like I said, maybe with rock and roll, but I don't know any other place you would see it. But the heels always kind of get it out, where the baby faces are just, I mean, if they're not an intelligent, humble person, I can see them just, like, I've seen a lot of them just turn into monsters. And you're just like, dude, like, you always got to tell them, like, all you're doing is, like, you're play fighting in your underwear, bro. Like, you're not curing kids cancer. Like, what are you doing? Why are you acting this way? Like, be grateful that you're able to do this. Like, this is fun. Like, you should be happy that you're able to do this. This is so silly. Like, be grateful that this is it for you. You're not punching a clock, or you're not at a factory, or you're not digging a ditch. Like, this is cool. But yeah, people get they get wrapped up in ego. It's a weird thing and powerful thing,
Oh yeah, 100%. And Mr. Samael, I must say that before this interview, I knew what a $1 million talent you are and what a great promoter you are. But after this interview, I can tell what an amazing human being you are. What a great man you are. It's such a pleasure talking to you. A great man, a tremendous promoter, a tremendous talent with $1 million smile. I mean, such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much. And speaking of $1 million, we know that PCW Ultra, you've got $1 million show coming up real quick. It's got to be Friday the 13th. It's taking place on May 13th, and it sounds like an incredible show. I mean, the match card, I mean, is it you who's behind the match card? Because the match card is tremendous.
Yes. I booked the show, and I'm currently working with a gentleman by the name of Garrett Winberry, and I'm basically training him to do what I do, and just transfer that knowledge into somebody who's willing and able. And he's a great student of mine right now. So I'm not only helping people that are in the ring, I'm also helping people outside of the ring. I'm also helping, there's a company by the name of Phoenix Championship Wrestling that I like to give a little shout out to. And Dom Vitale is a great friend of mine. And Dom has been with PCW Ultra as staff since the beginning. And he is, I helped set up his stuff in the beginning. I'm always a phone call away for him. And Phoenix Championship Wrestling is really coming up in Arizona. They've been they've been drawing some very respectable houses in a very hard market. So they've been doing some really great stuff, and there's a lot of amazing students coming out of there. And those guys are super awesome. So between Garrett and between Don Vitale and all the other people on my staff and all my wrestlers, man, we got a good thing going out there.
Amazing. Yeah, it's great. The first question I asked you in this interview was, why do you help? What makes you help people so much? And, we closed the interview almost also talking about how you're helping a lot of people, not just in the ring, but outside the ring, which is incredible. So Phoenix Wrestling,
it's all for the wrestling business. And it helps my longevity as well. And it keeps my brain working, and it gives me new problems to solve. So it's not like, oh yeah, I know this and that, and I never get tested. No, I'm in real time, like working all the time. So it keeps me sharp. And again, it transfers the information that was given to me. I didn't walk into this business knowing anything. And somebody told me everything that I learned. So, I'm teaching these guys and gals, the most I can, and what they can hear. Hopefully they hear what I say. Beautiful. Now we talk about again the show that's coming up. You've got in the main event, you've got LA Park, you've got Sin Bodhi. I know Sin Bodhi is a guy that you've been wanting to wrestle as well. So when are we getting the match between yourself and Sin Bodhi? Yeah, I would. Sin's a guy that I would definitely trust myself with, and I would definitely like to get in the ring with. He's a pro. I mean, he's a really. It's a shame that like the guys that know. But not to see, guys like Sin or I'm not saying myself, because I probably would turn down 19 out of 20 bookings I would get, but not seeing guys like Sin on like the biggest stages, like he's awesome. Like, and it's a weird thing, because back in the day when you got to your 40s, that was your prime, that was your money years, because your brain kind of catches up to your body. There's that symbiotic moment where everything kind of works, and you just have that mental maturity. Well, you hope that they do, but the guys that are good do. They have that mental maturity, and they've had experience and years of decision making, and they know all their fundamentals. So it's weird how the new era does kind of age guys out earlier than it used to. Maybe it doesn't, but there's some guys hanging on, but for the most part, the indies are younger than I think I've ever seen them.
Okay.
I mean, you got a guy like Nick Wayne.
That's right.
16, you got very, very young people on the indies right now. It's changed overnight. Everybody was, approaching 30, and then you turn around and everybody was a teenager, and you're like, whoa, what happened? I was just a little bit old. Now I'm a lot old.
But speaking of Nick Wayne, I mean, he's on your show as well, the upcoming show, Friday 13. He's there. So he's only 16 years old. So how does it work with Nick? Do you have to get some kind of a consent from his guardians, from his
parents? Yeah. So his father was a very well-respected trainer. I believe he's a third-generation wrestler. This is just, I see guys like Nick Wayne, and they'll go to all these places, but I just kind of like them to come through PCW Ultra, because they see like we pace things in a way that, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. You have to do this. That's the way we do it. You go this way, and then you'll go to another indie and it's just like, do whatever you want, So I like to give some of these guys, whether they accept it or not, I like to put these guys just through that pace, because a lot of guys will go, man, I didn't really know what was what until I came through your company. Or because I came through your company, when I did a tryout for so-and-so, it worked out better, or something, because we are like a mini, WWE, in the respect of, we do things, we have agents, we do things the right way. Everybody has a finish. If this guy does this, you don't do that. If this is saved for the main event, it's the match pacing is done in a certain way. Hey, don't do this on match 2. We're doing that on match 4. You know, so there's that sort of thing where there's still a bit of restraint, but in a good way, in a way that teaches you that we're not teaching them bad habits. So some guys might come through our place and go, oh man, I don't want to work there. It's too, and then other guys might flourish in our system, you know? So I think that there's something to be said for every system, but I certainly think that our system has a place, and a very respectable place. Yes. And when guys like Steamboat come through it, and guys like Muda come through it, and Billy Gunn and down the line, all these legends that we've had, and they co-sign it, that's right. I know we're on the right track. And that's all I care about, is the respect of the people that built the foundations of the business or carried on the formulas from the architects, just saying, you're doing it too, thank you, or you're doing it too, I agree. That's all I need, you know, just to know we're on the right track.
It's beautiful. My heart melts as a person who loves professional wrestling when I hear about PCW Ultra and just the idea behind it, just how beautiful the concept is, and how it's a family, and you all look for each other. You look out for the wrestlers, you care about them, you want them to do better, and you look after them. My heart melts. It's so beautiful, so beautiful.
Thank you.
I love it. I'm so carried away right now. That's great. Okay, so also appearing on the show, you have great talents, of course. Weaver Man is there, Danica is there, Steve Madison has got to be there, Umera has got to be there, B-Boy is there, Papa Esco, Tony Atlas, so many people. I mean, so many good talents.
$1 million man, Teddy DiBiase.
That's right. That's right. That's $1 million. That's right. The $1 million man. He's got to be there. He's going to be doing meet and greets for PCW Ultra fans at the LAX Fan Fest. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. So, like, the thing that's really cool about that is like the moments. And I know I'm older than these guys, but man, you know, $1 million man in the angle where he had Andre, you know, they had the bum referee. They beat Hogan for the belt, and then he bought it from Andre. It's like these, and that's just one of the angles, but that was probably the biggest angle he was involved in. But just to have that gentleman grace us with his presence, so you know, guys like him, guys like the great Muda, Terry Funk, just the Road Warrior Animal. I mean, just to have these guys walk through our arena, it's just super special. And I know that our fan base understands that, and they bring their WWF encyclopedias, and they get them signed, and they do all that stuff and everything, and they get, you know, their photos with them and everything. But just to be able to facilitate that is cool. You know, it's a cool, if somebody says, you know, what do you do for a living? Like, to be able to do that for a living is cool, because you're doing something that people are so stoked on, and it's just it's a good feeling.
It's huge. Absolutely. It's a great feeling. And I'll tell you, right now I'm on the other side of the world, but if I was in America right now, you know, I would be, you know, I would be there for that event, May the 13th.
We would expect you to be here.
I would be there for every single PCW Ultra event. I mean, what a great promotion, you know, promotion that should be supported and will be supported. I'm pretty sure the next time that we chat, PCW Ultra, you said it's like the WWE. It's got to be more like the WWE in terms of the size, in terms of the fan base. So. It's got to for sure. You know, with the whole concept, with the values that PCW has, you know, behind itself, is definitely gonna be big, very, very big. It already is big, but it's gonna be even bigger. 100%.
I hope so. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, also appearing on the show will be our very own Sheik. So fans must definitely check out and go to PCWUltra.com and get your tickets from there. Once again, Sheik, thank you so much for this interview. My heart breaks right now as we're, you know, closing this interview, because I wanted to go on. It's such a pleasure talking to you. You're incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.